Let some people get seated. Welcome to the October 11th, 2012 Longview City Council meeting. Let's see, tonight we're going to have our prayer and pledge to be led by Reverend Kip Salser of First Baptist Church. Would you please stand?
Let's pray together. God, as we come here tonight, I just pray for wisdom for our leaders. I pray that you would bless each of them, these men and women, and bless them and their families and their lives and their work. God, give them insight and direction, leadership, and your wisdom in how to take care of us as citizens here in Longview. God, we thank you so much that we have the opportunity to come to you and talk to you and give these things to you in your Son's name. Amen. Amen. If you'll join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, citizen comment. We have our friend Mr. Donald Webb tonight.
I'd like to say a good evening to the City Council. I first want to talk about the sidewalks being built on South Longview, $670,000. I believe that money could be used to rebuild and add new drainage to MLK Street, because when it rains, if you drive on the right or left side of the road, you have to get over in certain locations because of the water built up. It don't have nowhere to go. The pavement is uneven in certain locations. I put God there because I didn't have enough room. I was going to say leadership without God. Today, we live in a nation. A leader that don't put God first will fail. A nation that don't put God first will fail. People talk about Obama. They say why he failed, why all these policies that he have can't get nothing done. Socialism don't believe in God. Communism don't believe in God. Marxism don't believe in God. And black theology is just another form of socialism. The church, they just a few days ago, 1954, the Johnson Amendment, telling preachers they can't talk about political, can't make a statement by the president of the Congress. The church is supposed to serve God. Any preacher, and there was a few preachers, about 1,600, got together a few days ago protesting this amendment. If the church don't stand up for God in this country, God will stop blessing the United States of America.
Amen. Amen. Okay, John Green.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council. My name is John Green. I'm here to speak on behalf of the proposal tonight to name the kitchen in Mod Cobb after Gerard Case. I initiated that request, and I'd just like to thank the city for the opportunity to name facilities after people that have made a contribution to this community to make it a better place. Gerard was a leader in the hospitality industry, a very public face of Longview across the state, president of the Texas Restaurant Association, inducted to their Hall of Fame, represented Longview in the industry in Washington, D.C., and has done a lot to promote Longview. And I thought this would be an appropriate place, given the fact that he catered a lot of events out of there and promoted hospitality, would be an appropriate place to remember him from now on. In the course of working on this, I discovered that our local Zonta Club was one of many groups that helped fund Mod Cobb originally. They had put a lot of money together to help fund the original kitchen, and during the process of the kitchen being remodeled, their plaque got misplaced. And if this moves forward, we're hoping to put that plaque back up to honor their contributions to what they did when Mod Cobb was originally built, and with your vote tonight to name this the Gerard Case Kitchen. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Okay, Don Foster.
Good afternoon. I am a new resident to Longview, so I am new to here, but my wife is a third-generation resident of Longview. We just opened a business over in South Longview on South High, and I'm truly disturbed at the stigma. We can't get customers to come to the south side, so they say. So we have got together, several businesses and I, and put together an idea of the South Longview Business Alliance. Now, what we've tried to do is try and get the businesses to come together and watch out and promote for each other and raise money to better the south end of Longview. Now, for that, the money raised, we're starting an incorporation which will encounter and cover donations to the battered women's shelter here in Longview, as well as to help the elderly and pick up trash, mow yards, do things like that in our own community over there in South End. So what I'm asking is a little support from the city to help reduce that stigma, maybe give us a little bit of advertisement, something like that, generate some type of a project over there where we can use to get people to that end of the town. I don't really know a lot about Longview, but everybody keeps telling me that this whole idea will fail. I don't believe it'll fail. I don't know what the deal is with the south side, but we've spent a lot of money in advertising, and people who call my business tell me that they will not come that far south because it's not safe. Now, as a business owner who just moved here, I'm asking the city for a little bit of feedback on how we can change that and work together to better the south end of Longview. I know that Gary is supposed to come visit with us tomorrow morning, and I welcome anybody to come down there and visit and give us some ideas and help us create a better stigma or a better impression of the south end of Longview. Thank you.
Okay, sir, let me
Yes, sir.
assure you, we understand what you're saying, but when you say everybody tells you, don't believe everybody.
Okay.
I mean, this city council right now has and is investing a lot of tax dollars in upgrading a lot of areas of South Longview. South Longview is the oldest part of town.
Right.
And let me say another thing. I'm in business too, and a lot of time it's the product. People will go, if you've got the product, people are going to go to get it. I just had the opportunity to go down to Divine Delight. She told me it's Divine Delight and the Hawkins family over there off of Mobley, 1320 Mobley, matter of fact. And the product's great, and I'll assure you those people from all over Longview eating in there. So, but I appreciate what y'all doing, and Gary's the man. And Gary will come back to us with anything we can do to help, but we appreciate you being here tonight.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you. What kind of business are you in?
We opened a hair salon over there
Okay.
on High Street, just down the street from Super One. And like I said, it's amazing to me that so many people who called us, out of 100 phone calls, about 45 of those people said they would not come that far south because it wasn't safe. So that's what inspired us 3 weeks ago to buy the website and try and bring the businesses together to do that.
Well, I'm sorry they would tell you that, because you can look at our crime statistics and see what the numbers are doing, and they're going that way. There's a lot to be done.
Right.
But crime's not just found in South Longview. Crime's found in all parts of Longview, all parts of any city.
Right.
Okay. So, but good luck to you, and Gary will get back with us and kind of tell us what we need to do.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thanks
Thank
for
you.
being here. Pastor Lawrence Horn.
Hello again. Got something for you. Excuse me for my attire. I just went home straight from work and kicked off the work boots and put on my chicken suit. Just got a little more presentable, I guess, but I had to hurry up to get here.
That's all right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Pastor Horn, council, Mr. Mayor, city manager, council members. I come to this Augustus body once again. I had an altercation here a few months ago with some of the Longview officers here in the city. I addressed the issue, followed chain of command, went through protocol, trying to get the issue taken care of. However, I was informed that I had to go to civil court. So once I made it to civil court, another thing happened. My character was defamated while I was there. Being a local pastor, having a complaint, I thought that it really would have been taken serious more than what it was. Again, I'm not calling names of the folks that's involved for other reasons. However, I've put applications in for open records to retrieve any kind of information I can against these officers. Normally, people would just let things go, just be nonchalant about it and just go head on. Well, I can't do that. I'm a man of integrity, and one thing I've learned is that if I don't have to be bullied, then ain't no sense in being bullied. So I, again, just addressing this council, what can we do when a citizen make a complaint against anybody in administrative level here in the city of Longview? What can we do that it can really be handled to the professionalism that it can be? I received a couple of letters from administration alleging that they had looked over the situation. And when I spoke with Internal Affairs or Sergeant Laura Samples, she said had nobody looked at my complaint. She was the only one that looked at it. And so it was kind of appalling when I heard her make that statement. So I'm just addressing this council again, kind of try to help us figure out what can we do as being citizens when we really make a complaint. How can it be carried through to the best interest of the citizen? And I know people will make up things and stuff like that, but this is an issue that's not being made up, and I just can't look the other way with it.
Okay.
And thank you for your time.
Pastor, thank you very much. Okay, I do not have any other speaker cards except for some zoning items. So we'll go to presentation items. Item A, presentation of proclamation for Down Syndrome 11th Buddy Walk Day. I have Laura Howard and Dalton Autry. Okay, y'all want to come stand up here? How's it going? Good to see you. Thanks for being here. Okay. Eddie, you want to come over here? Okay, you okay? Good seeing you. Okay. We got a proclamation we're going to read, okay? Okay. All right, and let me tell you what it says. It says, Down Syndrome 11th Buddy Walk Day, October 13, 2012. When Down syndrome is a genetic condition and the most frequently occurring chromosomal abnormality. People with Down syndrome are members of this community and have a variety of positive ways they can contribute. The National Down Syndrome Society has created buddy walks to encourage the inclusion of people with Down syndrome in their communities. The Longview Buddy Walk will be on Saturday, October 23rd, 2012 at Teague Park. Is that right?
13th.
Oh, it says 23rd. Okay, who wrote this?
This Saturday.
This Saturday, the 13th. Let's read that again. It says, where we see that? Okay, the Longview Buddy Walk will be on Saturday, October
13.
There you go. 2012 at Teague Park, starting at what time?
9 o'clock.
At 9 o'clock.
To 1.
9 o'clock to 1. So therefore, I, Jay Dean, by the authority vested in me as mayor of the city of Longview, do hereby proclaim October 13, 2012, is Down Syndrome Buddy Walk Day in Longview at Teague Park at 9 a.m. to 1 a.m. All right, you gonna be there, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank y'all very much. Here, I got this for you. Thank y'all very much. Thank you. Had it right on the second one. Okay, Fire Prevention Week. Where's Johnny Zachary? Fire Marshal. You got a backup tonight. You needing protection, huh? Better get up here on this dais. What's up, Chief? How you doing?
I'm good, Dean. How are
And
you?
you, Miss
Robinson.
Aisha Robinson. Okay, so we have Fire Prevention Week. How come Chief didn't come up here? Oh, okay. Because once he gets this mic, he ain't giving it back. So we have 2 ways out, October 7th through the 13th, 2012. City of Longview is committed to ensuring the safety and security of all those living in and visiting our city. Home fires kill more than 3,000 people a year in the United States. Residents who have planned and practiced a home fire escape plan are more prepared and will therefore be more likely to survive a fire. The National Fire Protection Association recommends at least one working smoke alarm on every level of the home, including the basement, outside of all sleeping areas and in all bedrooms. City of Longview emergency first responders are dedicated to reducing the occurrence of home fires and more fire deaths and injuries through prevention and proper education. Therefore, I, Jay Dean, by the authority vested in me as mayor of the City of Longview, do hereby proclaim October 7th through the 13th, 2012 as Fire Prevention Week in Longview. Thank you all very much. We had an interesting presentation at our Rotary Club last Friday with the chief, and he had an actor come in and sit at our table and act like he thought he was having a heart attack. And y'all laid that out pretty good. Thank y'all so much. Thank y'all. Okay, National Diversity Month. We have Keita King and Vicki Eccles. Good afternoon. How y'all doing? Good. Good seeing you again. This time you don't have a shovel in your hand.
No hat.
No hat or no shovel. Okay, so it's National Diversity Month, October 2012. October is recognized as National Diversity Month. September 15th through October 15th also is National Hispanic Heritage Month. City of Longview Partners in Prevention and the Longview Unity and Diversity Committee are to be commended for their efforts to provide direction and guidance as we strive to create those opportunities for all people to reach their potential. The community is encouraged to join in the events of the month and help lead efforts to ensure that everyone has a right to live in conditions of opportunity, peace, dignity, and mutual respect. So therefore, I, Jay Dean, by the authority vested in me as mayor of the City of Longview, do hereby proclaim October 2012 as National Diversity Month in Longview. Thank you all very much. Thank you. Okay. Bicentennial of War, 1812. Miss Frida Frost, Phyllis Bridges, Sue Vaughn, Peggy Nader, Otherdale Smith, and Sharon Peters. Y'all come on up here. All these nice looking ladies, they're gonna give me a little class. How y'all doing?
Fine, thank you.
Okay, come on, oh, you're gonna take the picture, okay. I don't wanna mess it up with all these pretty ladies. Okay, it's the Bicentennial of War of 1812, October 2012. The year 2012 marks the 200th anniversary of the U.S. Declaration of War against Great Britain, sometimes called the Second War for Independence. This declaration of war was in response to unlawful actions of Great Britain in the seizure of American ships, the impressments of American citizens, and the blockade of American trade. Is that supposed to be imprisonments?
No, it's impressments.
Okay, and impressments?
That means that they took these forcibly off the ships and made them work for Great Britain. At that time, Britain was involved with the Neapolitan Wars and they had a lot of lacking of military people, so they took them off our ships and made them work. Supposedly, they were people who had left Britain to come to
right.
here.
Yeah, right. Typical Brits. Okay, so where was I? Okay, let me go back up here. The War of 1812 signaled a new naval era in America and established the United States as a power with which to be reckoned and further unified the country. It is fitting and proper to officially recognize the patriotic endeavors which will commemorate these actions under the unifying theme of Our Flag Is Still There, in reference to the flag that continuously flew over Fort McHenry, Maryland, under British bombardment. So therefore I, J. Dean, by the authority vested in me as mayor of the city of Longview, do hereby proclaim the year of 2012 to be recognized as the bicentennial of the beginning of the War of 1812. Thank you all very much. That was very nice. I learned something tonight. Thank you all.
Thank you, sir.
I thought impressment meant they were stealing from us. I guess it does. I knew it. Put my foot in my mouth. Okay, moving right along. Consent agenda, council. Consent agenda item B needs to be removed from the agenda before voting on consent agendas. So it's off. Okay, so scratch agenda item B. But is there any other item on the consent agenda council would like to consider under separate discussion? If not, may I have a motion?
Move to approve.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion passes. Zoning items, a public hearing to be held to consider application number S 12-05. Mr. Shirley.
Thank you, Mayor Dean, members of council, Mr. Willard. The applicant, Mr. Johnston, is requesting an SUP for retail stores and shops other than listed specifically for firearm sales in a neighborhood services zoning district. The comprehensive plan does designate this area for medium-intensity business. Planning and Zoning Commission and staff do recommend approval. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Questions of Mr. Shirley? If not, this item requires a public hearing. The public hearing is now open. I have one item. It's Robert Johnston.
Yes.
Would you like to speak to this matter, or are you here to answer questions?
I'm just here to answer questions.
Okay. Is there anyone else here that would like to speak to this matter but have not filled out a card? There not being so, any questions of Mr. Johnson, council? If not, public hearing is closed. May I have a motion?
Move to
I have a
approve.
motion and second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion passes. Item B is off. Item C, public, no, we pulled item B. Oh, excuse me, that was a consent. I got B in my brain. I'm just kidding, Michael Shirley. Tell us about Z12-11, Michael.
Okay, Z1211 is a rezone from single-family SF2 and agriculture to general retail. This is located along East Hawkins Parkway. This is to allow for future development. This is next to the Henderson Iron Works and next to the religious facility, the church there, for future development there. P&Z and staff recommend approval, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Okay, questions, council? If not, this item requires a public hearing. I do not have any speaker cards on this item. Is there anyone here who would like to speak to this matter? There not being so, public hearing is closed. Council, questions? If not, may I have a motion?
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, motion passes. Public hearing to consider application PD 12-12.
Thank you, Mayor. The applicant is requesting to rezone from multifamily to planned development for daycare. This is basically an existing non-conforming use back in In 1977, when the facility was built, it was daycares were allowed in multifamily zoning district. And I believe around 1983, they amended the zoning ordinance to no longer allow them in multifamily, which made it existing non-conforming. In this location, it functions appropriately, and it's appropriate for them to expand, but the best mechanism to do that is through plan development, because a rezone to a more appropriate general retail zoning really doesn't fit the adjacent zoning, but the use fits, and the plan development's a mechanism to do that. So P&Z and staff do recommend approval. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Questions, council? If not, this item requires a public hearing. The public hearing is now open. I have a speaker card from Shirley Hook. Oh, excuse me, I'm sorry. I have a speaker card from Travis Crafton, Shirley Hook's son. I can't believe you don't want to speak either. I know better than that. Come on. Okay, Travis, you here to answer questions? Yes, sir. Okay, any questions of Travis? Okay, if not, the public hearing is closed. Council, may I have a motion?
Move to approve.
Let's have a motion, a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you, Michael.
Thank you.
Okay, action items. Consider a resolution naming the commercial kitchen at Maud Cobb Activity Center, the Gerard Case Kitchen. Laurie Hill. Excuse me, Dietrich. I'm just going by what they're writing, Dietrich, but they did tell me before the meeting, this is your thing. Sorry.
You are correct, Mr. Mayor. It is printed, Laura Hills.
You need to straighten them out.
Mr. Mayor, Council, Mr. Willard, we are asking you to consider a recommendation from the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board to name the commercial kitchen at the Maud Cobb Activity Complex in memory of longtime community leader and restaurant owner Gerard Case. The advisory board recommended the name consideration at their August 27th board meeting, and then the request, according to city ordinance, went into a 30-day public notice comment period, allowing any additional citizen comments in writing to comment within that period. And that comment period ended September 30th. And during that period, no written comments were received by staff during that time. And staff is recommending approval of this name consideration.
Okay. Questions of Dietrich? Let me mention, Mr. Green spoke and talked about, the Zana Club, and I want to reiterate, the Zana Club, when Maud Cobb was originally constructed, was very instrumental in providing funds to construct the kitchen. When the kitchen was remodeled, the plaque that was there recognizing them was removed. So in this particular program with the renaming, my understanding is that members of the Zana Club, the leadership of the Zana Club, are happy with what's being asked or being proposed to be done, and there will be a nice plaque that will be there to represent the Zana Club. Any other questions? If not, may I have a motion?
Move to approve.
Have a motion?
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Thank you, Dietrich. Sure. Item B, consider resolution adopting the 5-year capital improvements program and allocating funds for the 2012-2013 projects. Keith Bonds.
Thank you, Mayor, Council, Mr. Willard. It's probably old hat for most of you. It's the same presentation I give every year, except for Mr. Smith might learn something new, but I'd like to tell you how staff prepares the capital improvement program each year. In 2000, council set policies that we still use, and mainly we use definitions of capital improvement program projects. They are projects that involve the acquisition of land, projects that construct or make additions to any of our municipal facilities, any major repairs valued of $100,000 or more with an expected life equal to or beyond the life of the bond, a major equipment purchase of a value of $100,000 or more with an expected life equal to the life of the bond, or studies and projects from master plans. We also rank all of the projects using 2 sets of factors. First set of factors, the priority factor, with priority 1 being a project that would improve public health or safety, a project that's mandated by the federal or state governments, one project that would promote economic development, and projects that are done in coordination with other capital improvement projects. Priority 2 would be the protection of capital stock or projects that would improve our capital infrastructure. Priority 3 would be the systematic replacement of capital infrastructure. And 4 would be new projects or substantial expansions and special needs. And we also couple those factors with urgency factors of essential, desirable, acceptable, and priority 4 would be deferrable. So all the projects get a ranking or get a score and they put in rank. We also use previously adopted capital improvement program list and the master plans of the various sets of master plans that we have: water, wastewater, parks, drainage. TxDOT provides us a listing of off-system bridge inspections every 2 years we use, and the Metropolitan Transportation Plan. This is last year's adopted list. It's pretty lengthy compared to this year's, simply because of the May 2011 bond election, and that was $52.6 million. You'll notice that this tally is $59.25. It includes some water and wastewater and drainage projects, which brings us to this year is $6,330,000, which is just going to be drainage, water, and wastewater. The drainage projects going to be the bridge and culvert improvements. We're going to replace the coating underneath the South High Street overpass over the Union Pacific Railroad and Sabine Street. We're going to replace some bad culverts at Alice and Eva, Plata Precise's crossing of Ray Creek. That project is estimated to be $1.2 million. We're also going to improve some home flooding at 2 different locations. This project is valued at $300,000. The homes that are flooding is 1308 New Forest and 1102 and 1104 Willow Springs. I can show you a little map. This is where Plata Precise crosses Ray Creek. And this is the location of the Alice Drive and Eva location, and this is where the bridge goes over the railroad and Sabine Street, where High Street crosses those. And so this is the bridge, and if you go under the bridge, it has steel structure and it's has some corrosion issues, so we'll just simply sandblast and coat that steel structures. A strange culvert crosses under Alice Drive near the Eva intersection, indicated in light blue here, that we need to replace. And this is where Ray Creek crosses Plata Precise. It's got an old metal culvert that's got holes in it. So these are the 2 locations that we have the remaining home floodings, New Forest Drive and at Willow Springs. This on New Forest Drive has a culvert between these 2 homes that's undersized and causes flooding at 1308 New Forest. A similar situation on Willow Springs Drive, 1102 and 1104 have some reoccurring flooding because this drainage structure is undersized. So all of those drainage projects together, estimated $1.5 million. All those funds are available in the drainage fund, the quarter-cent sales tax. Wastewater side of the capital improvement program, we're going to be same thing we do most years: replace old 6-inch clay tile lines in different parts of the city with 8-inch PVC. Got quite a list of streets here: High, Laney, Richwood, Odin, Pam, Industrial, Bostic, and Leduc. We've also got some cross-country sewer lines that are through some wooded areas that we need to clear out the trees. They actually have kind of lost some sewer lines, but 2 projects that are going to go on at the wastewater treatment plant. We're doing a sludge thickening improvements project where we're going to install some mechanical thickeners, and a co-digestion project. It's estimated at $1,825,000. This will allow us to accept grease again. We have quit that for many years, but we'll place grease waste directly into our digesters and convert one of our primary digesters into a secondary digester. I know that's very interesting to you guys, but anyway, wastewater people, that's good stuff. This is the map showing kind of the locations of sewer lines all over town. There's Laney and Leduc and Richwood, Odin, Industrial, and we've said many times this is not a you see there's no projects north of the Loop. They're all south of the Loop and mainly south 80, so in our older parts of town. This is a photograph showing our digesters. These are our sludge thickeners and our digester of the wastewater plant and the piping underneath the digester. Wastewater side, $3,355,000 of projects, all available in the utility fund. Water side, a similar water line replacement project. of 11,000 feet, replacing 2s, 3s, and 4-inch diameter lines with 6 inches, fire hydrants, new services, everyone. Lots of locations: Commerce Avenue C, Page, Lindsay, Jordan, El Paso, Ray, Terrace, Graham, Hughes, Whaley, and Marshall Streets. We're also doing a corrosion assessment on a large line that goes along Fisher Street, on the west side of town. It's
Fisher
a 24-inch Fisher Road, and it had 2 breaks on it last 2 years. And
When it breaks, that's a lot of water.
yeah, we
That goes
lost
through there.
millions of gallons of water. It's a bad problem for us. And the line was placed in the 70s, and no corrosion protection. Those of you involved in oil and gas, bad problem. So we're going to find out where we can put some corrosion protection on that line so it'll quit breaking, I hope. So flow monitoring improvements, replacing some antiquated and inaccurate metering at the water treatment plants, and the mayor being involved in metering. These are some old Venturi meters that we have in our water treatment plants, and flows up and down. We're going to put mag meters in and replace all these old meters that we can't. It's very difficult for us to tell us how much water's going between clarifiers. This is the water treatment, the water line replacement projects. Again, virtually all inside the loop, and Page Street being outside the loop on the west side of town. So scattered all around. All the water projects, $1,475,000. All these funds are available, cash funded, don't have to issue any bonds. So be glad to answer any questions you might have.
Council, that's a whole bunch of stuff right there.
I'm just glad to hear we're getting our sleds taken.
Me too.
Mr.
My
Mayor,
flood needs some things. Yes, sir,
I
Gary?
got a question for Mr. Bond.
Go ahead.
Mr. Bond.
Yes.
So on that 5-year CIP project, so you'll
Yes.
complete, what, 2 or 3 projects per year? Is that how it works over the next 5 years?
Council funds 1 year at a time.
Okay, 1 year at a time, okay?
So, for instance, we have, municipal facilities and transportation,
Yes, sir.
water, wastewater, drainage. Obviously not funded any municipal facilities or any transportation. So, even though it shows a 5-year list, some people might think it's 1 year at a time. It's not necessarily so. That's
Okay.
a planning document, if you will.
Okay,
So, yes, but to answer your question, do a few projects a year is what we try to do.
all right.
But one thing, Gary, what happens is because items keep coming onto the list.
Yes.
Every year, something comes up, an item comes up. So the list, you're adding stuff to the list, and then you're taking stuff off the list each year as you get it done.
Yes.
So your capital improvement project list is a document that sort of helps us to budget ahead of time so that we know, what the different projects are. Okay, and sometimes, like what we did with the bond election for the streets,
Yeah.
we went ahead and lopped off, that was in some capital improvement projects too. We went ahead and lopped off a bunch of that at one deal to go ahead and get that stuff done. So all those projects came off the
The
CIP.
street bond package?
Yeah, but I'm just saying that the CIP is a moving document because things are being added to it,
Yes.
okay, and things are being taken off of it as they're addressed and completed, so.
Okay.
Any other questions? If not, this item, we need an action this time. I have a motion.
Move to approve.
A motion second. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, motion passes. Item C, consider a resolution authorizing the city manager to negotiate and execute necessary agreement with the Longview Firefighters Association and/or BP American Production Company or its affiliates for grants totaling up to $1 million for the construction of a fire safety, interactive theater, and other improvements at Safety City. Johnny Zachary, Fire Marshal. It sounded like a pretty good deal before we even get into it.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mayor
Grant,
Dean,
$1 million?
Council. Safety City was developed about 20 years ago because of the need in the community of a child was run over and they realized we weren't teaching safety for crossing streets. At that time, fire safety was not really a part of Safety City. We did bring the fire safety trailer onto the campus in 2003. It became in disrepair and we had to remove it in 2010 because it was unsafe for the students to inhabit it. With our proposal, we want to increase our coverage area to approximately 18 counties, which is a 50 to 60 mile radius. There's nothing like this in East Texas. Safety City has been looked on, and there is one in Shreveport now, and there's one in Frisco. But in East Texas, this is the only facility of its type. So we do know there is a need, and we currently do have students coming to Safety City from some surrounding counties. So we do want to increase our impact zone to teach more citizens fire safety and general safety. This is the rendering that's been given to us by Johnson & Pace for the theater. With this, there's many things we will be able to do as far as fire safety, interaction. In other words, the students or adults can enter this theater and they can actually go through different interactive scenes, such as the kitchen scene, where they can actually fight fire with a electronic Bulex system, where you can actually practice putting that fire out before you ever need to under a less stressful situation. For the younger students, we can actually have a puppet stage that's going to drop down to cater to that age group for education. Washer and dryer. There's a lot of hazards in our laundry rooms we just take for granted as adults, and students, we can teach them, and then they can go teach the parents. We have a garage built into this theater for all the hazards in your garage, including a working door on the car that's chopped in half against the wall for child safety seats. So we've tried to incorporate all the things we're seeing on a daily basis as a fire department and first responders, things that if we could teach our public about, we can reduce injuries and death and fire injuries. There's classes that both of our hospitals, I've talked with them, and there is an interest, and we could possibly, for new parent classes, have one of the sessions here, because when you bring a new child home, there's things in your house that you're not even thinking about. And if we can actually show them with this theater, then maybe we can prevent some injuries of young children and new parents, things that we just don't think about when we're getting ready to bring a little one home. This is looking at the site plan, which is right across the street from us. With it, we're going to have the Fire Safety Interactive Theater on the front, which is currently graveled, improved parking areas. We've also proposed an education station that would be for the police department to teach their portions of Safety City instead of being out in the open pavilion. Because if we're going to bring students in from 50 miles away and it's kind of rainy or inclement weather, the last thing we do is want to send them back on their way. Because if they've come here to have their field trip and education experience, we want to make sure they can do that regardless of the weather. Of course, if the weather's good, as always, they will be out in the actual miniaturized city. We've also proposed in our grant proposal improved parking to the west of the facility, right up to the city property line of what the city already owns. And then, of course, all the way back to our city owned property on this side. The city itself will stay at this time under the Safety City Inc., which runs that portion, and then we will just be contributing more with an improved area to the east of the facility. With this proposal, it's improved landscapes. We want to make sure we set a prime example for landscape and parking and all the things we expect of our citizens all the time when they build in our community. We've incorporated all that into our proposal. These are the costs we've come up with based on our site plan and renderings. So it is an expensive project. We do have interest showed to us through BP, who's very gracious to want to shoulder up on part of it. Now, the community's going to have to come up with some money too. And we are going to have to get out and work as a community for this to happen. It's bigger than one person. It's bigger than one company. So there is a need, and it's going to take us shouldering up together as a community to pull this off. But at the end result, we're going to provide a one-of-a-kind experience, interactive theater, and safety lesson for adults, children, and way beyond our community. And one part that we're excited about is this will bring people to our community. So I think we can represent ourselves well and help others in this need. Any questions?
I know it's probably premature, but as far as in the negotiation with BP, as far as what amounts of monies at this point in time, so y'all haven't really got to that point at this time.
Well, There is, we're kind of waiting on a couple of more meetings, but right now the first check will be about 50,000, probably 50,300 right now. But there are monies available right now. They want to go ahead and we need. That's why we kind of need to get permission to accept money through the Firefighter Association because they need a 501(c), and then we could get the project where we have permission to move full steam ahead. But there are other monies that are going to be available after January that we're hopeful for.
Okay, questions of Fire Marshal Zachary? Okay, Cindy, well,
I'm reading here that is BP providing all the funding, or some of this going to be donations, or where is all the money coming from?
Well, we have asked that BP consider a grant proposal for the entire amount. I don't know if that's going to happen or not, but there will be a significant participation from BP. Other donations will come from in-kind. We feel like the interest will be there once the project's unveiled, so to speak. And there will be other companies that will be asked to participate also.
And this is BP Petroleum? that
Yes, sir,
you're
British Petroleum. Okay. Yes, sir. And what I failed to show you a little better was, as part of this, in the educational portion, there is a gas and oil safety element that we're going to incorporate into this, because just in our community alone, we have a tremendous amount of oil and gas related facilities. Our even adults, but people are curious about. They're out there either vandalizing it, playing on it, and they're getting injured. And if we can, and that's what BP's excited about also, because they've invested a significant amount of money into the gas and oil industry on the safety element. And in East Texas, you know, we have tons of those. It's good for our economy, but we also want to keep our community safe, and that's going to be part of this improved safety city.
Mr. Manley?
Chief Zachary, I think we all know how passionate you are about what you do, and you deserve a lot of credit for taking the initiative to do this. You're a real asset for our city.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions?
Mayor,
Yes, sir, Mr. Sis.
I'm speaking in favor of this motion.
So you making a motion?
No.
No.
That you're going to make.
I don't make the motions, y'all do.
I just, like I said, I think this is going to be a good interactive theater. It's going to cover Kilgore, Hallsville, White Oak,
Yes, sir.
Diana, 60 miles, right?
50 to 60 mile radius,
60 miles.
because when you talk about a field trip, as far as a field trip for students, they'll drive an hour, and but we're not really trying to compete with the Safety City in Shreveport. But there's communities in Harrison County. I mean, there's a lot of students out there that aren't able to go to this type of venue, and we're confident we'll get with the Region 7. And we have a plan that we will get with the Region 7, the superintendents, and that's part of what BP has said. We're going to shoulder up with these different school districts and show them, you know, kind of a grand reopening once we do get this built, and show them what we can do for their students. They're going to either pet alligators on a field trip, or they can learn safety and enjoy that. So I'm going to vote for safety. But yes, sir, huge area.
So we get an opportunity to upgrade Safety City also.
Yes, sir. Part of the grant proposal, we're looking at about $12,500 facelift to the city. And also, a big chunk of this is they have 8 cars that are really lawnmowers with fiberglass bodies, and we need to replace those with newer, a little bit safer electric cars that can drive around in the city. Those old lawnmower cars, you can't get the parts for them anymore. They're expensive to keep the engines running. They're 20 years old, most of them. And so part of that is improving the city, besides providing the new features to really make it a destination for the students.
Okay. So did you make a motion?
I think you should.
Move to approve.
There you go. I have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, motion passes. Great job, Johnny.
Thank you.
One thing about our fire department, they're always out there hustling those grants. Thank you all very much, Chief. Okay, item D, if my computer will stay on. Consider a resolution appointing members to the Longview Economic Development Corporation's Board of Directors. As we know, this time of year, we normally receive recommendations from the from LEDCO. So at this time, Mr. Frost.
This is confession time. We met the other night and Tuesday and considered this in our committee, and afterwards I went out and visited around with the TAC parties, and I thought about this thing, and I realized that I had made a mistake in that I second-guessed the LEEDCO board in their recommendation, and I think I didn't have the right to do that because they have a very good vetting process for selecting and reviewing and appointing people to that board, which includes all people. Anybody that wants to can make it known. And so I think they have the good process as they have shown success, as their success has shown that they have done a good job and they vet their people very well. And I felt like I did something not right by going in under them and second-guess them on one particular change. And I just feel like that was not right. And so, and what I'm saying, and I apologize for putting us in this position, for this awkward position, and I apologize for that. And what I'm saying, I cast no negative reflections on anybody except myself when I did this. And so, with that said, I move that we accept the LEEDCO Board of Directors as submitted by the LEEDCO Board. And you want me to read those?
That'd be fine. Second. Okay, you want to read? You want to read?
Keith Honey, President, Lester Russey, Vice President, Steve Metcalf, reappointment. Okay, Joe Bob Joyce, Ed Bonos, Jim Kendrick, Philip Ford, Dan Droege, Dr. Julie Fowler, and Paul Stevenson.
Okay, so just one second. I have a motion and I have a second, and now we can have discussion. Okay?
As the second member of the Council Appointments Committee, I stand firm in the decision that we made. I take it very seriously when members of our community come forth and express an interest. Specifically in this issue, it's no secret it was looking at diversity. It wasn't personal, and I would like to acknowledge that it was not a personal decision. It was something that was done in an attempt to ensure that our citizens are well represented, because I believe that as elected officials, we are charged with the responsibility to represent the citizens of this community. And I just wanted to say, and you know, while Mr. Frost is making his acknowledgments or his remarks about this issue, I would like to acknowledge that I, again, stand firm in the recommendation made. LEEDCO is a solid board. In my opinion, I don't feel at all as if we underestimated, or I'll speak in terms of myself, saying that I don't feel at all that I underestimated or second guessed. That's a good word. I don't feel at all as if I second guessed their decision, because as a member of the Longview City Council and representing taxpayers in this community, whenever someone comes to me with an issue, I take it seriously, and especially when there's more than one individual that has addressed a specific concern, if it is indeed for the greater good of Longview. So I wanted to acknowledge my comments, because I do not share the same sentiment as Mr. Frost in this issue. I think we have a responsibility to our community. Thank you.
Let me address both things. Number one, unfortunately, I was unable to be at the last council meeting when this council was addressed with this issue. And I have served on the Longview City Council since 1998. I've served with the LEEDCO board, a number of different members over that period of time, and I've always found that group, and let me first also say, that has been a very diverse group. Go back and look at the facts and look at the records of the diversity of that board over the years. Okay, so to say that they have not been diverse, I think is unfortunate. But they have asked us, let me mention this, Each one of us sitting at this table is a member of the Longview Economic Development Corporation. And it is our right, and it should be our responsibility to attend some of their meetings so we can get to know, our board members that we approve. And also, I can remember, Sidney Bell Willis made every one of those meetings, almost every one, if not all of them. She was very well respected by the board. She had a tremendous amount of input in helping to find citizens that would like to participate. The LEDCO board isn't always what it's drummed up to be when we ask people to join the board, because they find out it's just not for them. And we've had people that have asked us to, not be renominated over the course of time because they found it wasn't for them. So I find us in a situation where, we have had a process or have worked with the board every year. Everybody on this council has been here for at least a couple years, except Mr. Gary Smith. And if we have someone that we would like to submit as a name to be on that board, we should do that. But to do it, after they've submitted the names, okay, in good faith and whatnot, and they've talked to the individuals that they've asked to be on this board, to come back and say, no, you're being taken off the board, I just have an issue with that. So does anybody, excuse me just one second. Excuse me one second. Did you have something? Okay, excuse me. We'll come back.
This is really unfortunate we find ourselves in this situation. I